Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Money Mornings. I know that I've been on a hiatus for a while. It's been because I've been busy. Um, Today is a special episode, you guys. We're not just going to talk about the state of our economy because yesterday, on July 13th, on a Saturday, someone tried to kill the former president, President Donald J. Trump. I'm bothered by this, you guys. I can't even say just how infuriated I am by this. Now, the media is saying that it's because of the rhetoric towards President Trump and conservatives that inspired this 20-year-old Antifa fucktard. Sorry for the language. It's going to be a little graphic today, guys, a little vulgar today. That because of the rhetoric, this Antifa fucktard decided to point a gun and kill innocents while trying to kill President Donald J. Trump. That because they've been constantly saying that this man is a dictator, that this man is a modern Hitler, because he uses words like nationalism and vermin. I mean, this is what they've said. This is what CNN, MSNBC, this is what they're saying. Now, I don't know if I believe that this young man is just Antifa. If they are Antifa, it's quite possible that, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can believe any of the things that the media is saying. I don't know if I could believe the information coming from the sources. I don't know. The fact of the matter is, what we know to be true is that someone tried to kill the president and missed and killed innocent people. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's because of the rhetoric that they've been saying when they say that the man is Hitler. We have been saying that a man who wants to protect national identity and preserve the ideals of freedom and prosperity and peace, which you had under his administration, at least globally, because in America, the left would not allow that to be the case, that this man is all the problems. That we want to say that he's like Hitler. Hitler, first of all, was not a nationalist. He was a homicidal globalist socialist. Okay? It's never a peaceful thing. Okay? It's never peaceful. It means eliminating individuality. It means eliminating national identity. It means eliminating the things that we value as Americans. Here you have a guy who ran for office because, it was a publicity stunt when he first started. Publicity stunt, definitely. And then realized he could actually win this and won this because people were desperate for someone who was not a part of the establishment, the swamp, the deep state, the shadow government. Call it whatever the hell you want to call it. Call it whatever the hell you want to call it. This is what he was up against because the Republicans talked trash about him when he was running then. The Democrats obviously talked trash about him. The media was no longer his friend, but he had the media on his side prior to his being president, prior to him running, period. No one had an issue with this man unless you were a socialist. This man and his family was able to protect themselves against the evil doings of the entity that we refer to as the Federal Reserve Bank. The more I learn as a financial professional myself and as a student of economics at this point, I realized a lot of the things that we should have been learning in school, we didn't learn. For 100 years, this particular entity has had control over our economy. They are deliberately trying to destroy the economy just so they have something to save us from. Them in existence drives us closer to wars that we had never been in. I mean, Jane Fonda, I believe, was a communist, but she might have been right about Vietnam. This was a complete waste of resources and lives. And for what? For imperialism. In the previous century, in the early 1900s, our government made the decision to prioritize global imperialism over the improvement of our finances and morals here in the United States. Rather than focusing on the national identity, both financially and morally, in our own damn country, we decided to prioritize being the empire that dominated. And that's what's at play when you look at Ukraine and Russia. That's what's at play here when it comes to looking at what's going on with Israel and the Palestinians. Do we really have any say-so as the people to determine whether or not money goes wherever the hell it goes? Whether we want it to go overseas to wars that we don't want to be in, or if it goes into programs that we do not support, whether if you're a conservative and you don't want your money going to Planned Parenthood, do you have any say-so? If you're a person who is a Democrat and you don't want your money going into the military-industrial complex, do you have any say-so in that? You have someone who says that they want to end these endless, meaningless wars. You have someone who says they actually want to keep more money in your pocket, and you're told to hate this man, the man who was able to defend himself against such tyrannical evil like the bankers and the government itself. A coalition, people, of the bankers and our government have been working towards driving this country towards centralization of power. They benefit, we do not. Our money constantly loses its value. You understand, in America, there was a time when people only made $1,200 a year, and it was enough to pay a rent. In the 1980s, houses were $40,000 with 11% interest. Today, they're hundreds of thousands of dollars with 7% interest. But you got people on YouTube talking about how to get around 7% interest. 7% interest. Ask me if I'd be upset if I found a house for $40,000 and 11% interest when I'm looking at prices like $250 to $300, $400, $500,000 with 7% interest. Please. Someone says they actually want to get in and get in there and do something about that, and they become the threat, and you're told to not like them. Let's say this person who tried to kill not a sitting president, but tried to kill a former president was working alone simply because he was inspired to commit such acts. Because of the rhetoric, he's all these terrible things. And now Joe Biden has to pull all of his ads because in every single last one of them, he's a dictator. He's a new version of Hitler. He's all these terrible things. He hates women. Okay, he hates women so much he wants to defend women's sports. He hates women so much he wants to make sure they do not change the definition of what a woman is. He hates Black people so much that while in office, he made sure that HBCUs got funding for 10 years. He made sure that Black Americans in prison had the First Step Act. He made sure that Black Americans' jobs were protected, businesses were doing better. He was the one that did that. Obama didn't do it, and he was the Black president. He was half white, and some of the Black people want to blame his not so greatness on his whiteness. So if you're a white person watching this, understand, Black people don't like you very much. Some people just don't like you because you're white. It's racist, isn't it? Racist. But Orange Man is a racist. Even though you got people who live in your neighborhoods, who work with you, who think you're a problem. Oh, you're not trying to be evil. It's just innate. It's within you. It's just within you. It's born into your blood. Like that. Look at this illogical behavior, people. This is infuriating. Someone tried to kill a former president. I didn't think that this would happen in my lifetime, and it has. Okay, there's evil at play here, and their goal is to harm we, the American people. And you have a man who says he wants to get in between us and the evil that wishes to do us harm, and you're told to hate him, and then you do. You don't even know why you hate him. You don't even know why. You've never hated this man before, and now you hate him. Ask yourself why. Did you ever take the time to analyze your emotions? Don't tell me that he's the villain when they tried to kill him. Last I checked, they never kill the bad guys here. They killed JFK. Last I checked, he wasn't the bad guy. You know, I know that conservatives take issue with some of his policies, but he wasn't innately evil. You know, you read the book Chaos. One of the things that you learn in that book is that the CIA did, in fact, want to kill Americans, blame it on another country just so they could rally the people to fight a war. JFK said no. That's a reason they could have killed him, because he was not controllable. Not only did he desegregate most of America, but he also didn't want Americans to die at the hands of our own government, so that way they can have the war that they wanted. And then he was killed. They wanted to put in place Operation Mockingbird, which means propaganda could be pushed by our media, brought to them by the military-industrial complex. He said no, and then he was killed. You had Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't the bad guy. He was assassinated, but he wasn't the bad guy. Someone tried to kill Reagan. He wasn't the bad guy. Last I checked, when you look at our history, every time they try to kill a president, or if they do kill a president, it's never because they are the bad guy. I mean, people, try to explain to me why you think Trump is the bad guy after someone tried to kill him. They only try to ever kill the good ones. And why is that? What is it about Trump that makes people just not like him? Analyze your emotions. Check your emotions. I've had debates with people. I've had my bad financial decisions thrown in my face as if my circumstances discredit any of the information. Take the time to read about the evil at play here. I mean, even if you want to just keep your faith in a vacuum and you just want to focus and pay attention on life and reality without faith playing a role in that, okay, fine. Look at these and look at these entities. Ask yourself, when's the last time the federal government actually wanted to prevent a meaningless war? When was the last time the Federal Reserve had actually done something that was beneficial for you, the American individual? They deliberately create problems for our economy. And this man wants to do something about it. They deliberately cause problems, driving us towards war. Understand, 4 years under Trump, you didn't have Russia in Ukraine. You didn't have Hamas attacking Israel. And now it's a question of whether or not Israel is committing genocide. And we don't know. And people are debating and they're arguing. And Candace Owens gets fired and we don't know. And these weren't arguments under Trump. No one was asking if whether or not Israel was committing genocide because no one had attacked them to begin with. Hamas didn't have the money to finance such an attack. Russia had no reason to invade Ukraine because we had NATO in check. You had a strong, free leader beholden to no one but the people who voted for him. They hate freedom so much so they want to kill someone running for president who was the president. They know what's at stake here if he gets in there. So they're going to keep telling you that he's a Hitler. They're going to keep telling you all these terrible things. I mean, under his presidency, you had the Abraham Accords in the Middle East. Countries you never thought would find ways to be friendly were. You had peace in the Middle East for a little while. Seems so impossible to believe. I think people laugh. So you're saying we had peace in the Middle East? Well, for those few years, yeah, because last I checked, you didn't have Israel at war. You had the Abraham Accords because all three religions, Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, all have Abraham in common. We use the common denominator of all three religions to create a peace treaty, locked up the terrorists, killed the leaders, Soleimani, al-Baghdadi. Bin Laden had already been killed thanks to Obama. So we had chance and opportunity for peace in the Middle East. We had peace in that region for a few years. There was no war going on. Russia did not invade Ukraine. We didn't have those problems. The economy was thriving prior to COVID shutdowns. And ask yourself about COVID. The experts want to save you from something that they are responsible for creating. Did you know that Fauci was a part of the research of the virus that was let loose on the world that was putting us in shutdowns to begin with? But he's the scientist that said this is going to save our lives. Only 2% of American lives were saved because of the shutdown. If I had gotten 2% on my English exam, my English teacher would have failed. I would have failed. She would have failed me. If I got 2% on my history exam, it means I would have failed. On my biology exam, on my math exam, any of these exams, if I only got 2%, that means you failed. If that was ever the intent to begin with, saving lives, I mean. So what was the point? What was the point of that? What was the point of that? But they laughed and criticized Governor Noem of South Dakota because she refused to overstep her bounds. She was literally the only leader in all of Western civilization that did not shut down. Canada shut down, Britain, France, every single Western country shut down with the exception of South Dakota in America, because she knew she's not allowed to do that. She respected freedom, the Constitution, which our ancestors fought and died for. We weren't born in the America that our ancestors fought for, that our founders had designed. We weren't born into that, and we lost that when they implemented and forced taxes on the people, when they forced central banking on the people by passing it into law. They've been ringing that bell for 100 years now, And we have a history that shows Americans standing up and fighting against centralization and global power. That's a history. Thomas Jefferson was against this. Andrew Jackson was against this, and Woodrow Wilson was the president that made all of this possible. Income taxes, Federal Reserve, centralized banking, all of these things. And you got to ask yourself, when you have someone who says that they want to abolish those things, who wants to reset America back to factory settings with the 21st century morality of today, what's so wrong with that? What's so wrong with going back to an America where taxes are voluntary? You voluntarily give your money over to the industries and the entities that give you your way of life. Okay, we need new roads. I'd be happy to send the money to the people who fix the roads. We need the schools. I'd be happy to pay the teachers out of my own pocket. We used to do these things. If this is something we know we need, we will pay for it. We used to do this. Cash was created in 1792. Central banks have tried and failed until 1913. Taxes were not imposed until 1913, which means you literally had a whole century in between of the 1700s into the 1900s where the American people were putting their money into solving their problems voluntarily. Voluntarily. That was stripped from us in the previous century. Debt has become a profitable tool to not just enslave we the people, but our very government as well. They could use this money to fund any wars that they want. They can force more people into the economy, which you saw in the 1970s. More women were forced into the economy. I'm not saying that there weren't women who wanted to work. I'm just saying that most women didn't want to and were forced to. Between the feminists, the Federal Reserve, and the government, someone wants to get in there and says this is wrong, this is something that shouldn't be allowed, and they want to remove them from the obstacle. They're the obstacle. Trump has made himself the obstacle. He could have stayed at Mar-a-Lago. He didn't have to do any of this. This man did not have to get shot. The innocent people who died may not have had to have died. Check your emotions, people. This is irritating. Why do you not like this man? Is it because it's genuine? Or is it because they told you not to like him? I don't want to hear it's because he supports abortion bans. I don't want to hear that the reason why you don't want to vote for him is because, he wants to take away the right of women to murder their babies. Well, if you're in New York, you don't got to worry about that. If you're in California, you don't got to worry about that. It's been reversed to the states. My goodness. Now, would I personally love a nationwide ban? Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I'm for saving babies for it every time. But I doubt that's even going to be the case. He may not even sign a bill unless it's about protecting children after birth and up to the 8th month. Okay? It's like you are not allowed to just murder a baby that is clearly there. You're just not allowed to do that. And that may be the bill that he signs. Don't not vote for Trump because you're afraid he's going to ban abortion nationwide because you're not allowed to kill the baby at 7 months pregnant. My goodness. If that's the case, you're a freaking monster. And then you deserve to lose. These people are monsters. That young man was a monster, and he allowed himself to be manipulated and brainwashed into becoming one. He was a Borg drone. And again, if you're a Star Trek fan, you know what that is. You've been assimilated into thinking that freedom and independence and individuality are bad things, that ownership and nationalism are bad things, that speaking the primary language of your nation is a bad thing. We've been taught to hate who we're supposed to be, who we are. As a people, our way of life has died. We've never seen it as Americans. We've never seen it. You say that my generation is so damn entitled. Why? Because we think that we have a right to a job, even if we don't speak a language that is not the language of my country, that I should never be denied opportunities off of my skin color, my gender, my religion, my conservatism. I should never be denied opportunities because of those things. But I got to lie about what I think, who I am, just so I can get along with my family. I got to be silent. They want to talk trash about Trump. Okay. I got to be silent. I can sit there and I can listen to people say things like they're going to have to kill this man and not say anything. I got to go to certain jobs and I got to pretend like this doesn't bother me. Just to avoid conflict, I can't say they are getting on my nerves. You had peace in the Middle East for a few years. You had a thriving economy until COVID happened. You were actually getting less tax in America during his presidency. I mean, this is what happened. Okay. And now you got a guy who says he wants to defend women. Don't tell me he hates women because he wants to stop babies from being murdered when a woman is 7 months pregnant. Check your emotions. And I get the irony because I'm furious right now. Furious. You tried to kill my president. And to quote Tom McDonald, bitch, you missed. This is ridiculous. Because now it feels like this time it's war. That man gets in there. You lefty wokes don't know how to act. You're going to have problems. You could just let the man do the job. Like you could have let him just walk off into the sunset after Biden won. You could have let him walk off into the sunset. You could have done that, but you didn't. And now, problems. If he wins in November, which is called a spade, if if Biden still wins this. How does a corpse win? He's losing numbers badly. And now this picture of President Trump, I mean, my goodness, blood on his face, fist in the air, American flag waving, beautiful sunlight. I mean, my goodness, the man is winning. He's winning. He's winning. Get on board or get out of the way, but don't be violent. Don't be violent. And I wouldn't be mad at the man if he sicked the military on the very cities that perpetuated this violence. This is infuriating, people. It's infuriating. Don't tell me that this man is the villain when they've never killed the bad guy in American history when it comes to who's the president. And if they have, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Let me know. If I'm wrong, then I'll be happy to do another video to say I was wrong. There was a president who was considered the villain that they killed, and this was a good thing, rather than just letting the ideas make their way in debate. Because to be honest, you guys, this is just what this should have been. They are against civil discourse. They are against freedom and individuality. And if you're someone who is also against those things, understand that don't make you the good guy here. I'm tired of people saying that they are the good guy when they're in favor of racist policies. Black people say they want white people to be taxed because they're white. Women want to kill babies after birth, and you think you're the good guys. You think you're the good guy here. Maybe I was naive in thinking that maybe there are some good guys here. I believe I try to be the good guy. I try to be the good guy. I think that's something that we should go for. Faith should not just be in a vacuum. And this is real evil that we're dealing with here. Real evil. I can go on and on about the history of how we got here, and I do believe this to be true. And there are other things, and I may talk about those things moving forward in Money Mornings. I'm going to get back into that because there's more to our financial system than just investing and saving and budgeting. All of these things are important. But we need to know how to protect ourselves from the evil that is deliberately trying to hurt us. The first thing is first, you need to know what it is. What is money? Where does it come from? How did we get here? And what can we do to get out of it? So not only when I continue with Money Mornings am I going to be talking about investing and saving, I'm going to be talking about the history of our circumstances. Because people, the more and more I learn, the more infuriating it becomes. And I was going to wait. But my president was shot. Like, that happened. I can't even believe it. I'm a Trump girl. Get over it. The person who did it is dead. We may never know, the way we never knew who killed JFK. We have our suspicions. We always get called conspiracy theorists. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. God be with the family of President Trump and be with the people who were killed that day. The innocent people that were killed. This hatred is unbelievable. Check your emotions. Ask yourself, were the reasons why you hate this man even genuine? Or were you just told to hate him? You all let me know in the comment sections. Try to have a good week and pray for President Trump and the innocents that were killed that day. May God bless America. Have a good one.